R. Kelly. So I'm sure y'all remember back in the good old days. Well, I guess nothing will be good about this time back in the day. That Sparkle's niece, who was known as a Jane Doe, there was a video that kind of hit the internet. Well, not even the internet. It hit it just came out. We all knew about it. I remember one time Wendy Williams said that somebody sent her the video. She had to literally go in a limo as it drove around the block while she watched this video of R. Kelly having sexual relations and giving a golden shower to an underage girl. So all the PDF file stuff started coming out about him. And of course, back in the days, I guess because it was the 90s and yeah, he did, he married Aaliyah and all that stuff. It tracked that he had sex offender tendencies. And it was just crazy that back then that people didn't really put a lot of value on that. Like people still made excuses. People still out there stepping in the name of love and all the other things and still going hard for R. Kelly and this little girl. As although a victim, it just seemed like y'all just kind of just didn't take it seriously. So now years later, we found out who this young lady is. She recently did an interview with not Rolling Stone. It was with CBS News. I don't think it was 60 Minutes. I think it was just like CBS. She did an interview with them, and now she is speaking out and breaking her silence. Her name is Rashana Landfair, and she is the cousin of singer Sparkle. So the woman who testified as Jane Doe at R. Kelly's 2022 federal trial told CBS Mornings it feels very liberating to finally reveal her identity and speak publicly about the relationship she formed with the R&B singer when she was just a teenager. For years, Rashana Landfair was known only as Jane Doe, an underage girl in R. Kelly's infamous S-tape, who testified in the disgraced singer's 2022 federal trial. Now at 41, Landfair is coming out of the shadows and reclaiming her name for the first time. Claiming her name and her time. She said, I really want to live in my true skin and my true self. My true self today is Rashana Landfair. This is what she said to CBS Mornings during the exclusive interview about her new memoir, Who's Watching Shorty? Reclaiming Myself from the Shame of R. Kelly's Abuse. Now, in the book, Landfair shares troubling details about how she was groomed by Kelly, whose full name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, after being introduced to him through her aunt, R&B artist Sparkle. It was an aunt who encouraged her to ask the star to be her godfather. The next time we're at the studio, you should ask Robert to be your godfather, she said to her young niece, and as Landfair pointed out, to sit on his lap and rub his head. Quote, that was the start of him entering into my life in a different way than just being an artist or hanging out at the studio. It became more personable at that moment, end quote, Landfair said. Now, Landfair says the moment opened the door to a relationship that quickly turned abusive, alleging that Kelly began touching her inappropriate when she was around 13. A sex tape recorded when she was 14 later spread nationwide a few years later, turning her abuse into a spectacle, she says, left her feeling empty, hollow, and humiliated. Yeah, that was the one I was telling you about, that Wendy Williams, apparently somebody got a hold of that tape and showed it to her. She broke the news on her radio show. Now, Kelly was arrested on child porn charges in 2002, but a Chicago jury acquitted him in 2008 after Landfair, then still under his sway, denied to a grand jury that she was the girl in the video. It's a decision she says is one of her biggest regrets. Now, years later, the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly pushed her to confront how many others had been hurt, and she ultimately testified against him in a 2022 federal trial in Chicago, saying, quote, I felt responsible that he was able to hurt so many more people, she said. During the time, I thought maybe these were just sexual fetishes that he had with me. Maybe this was just abuse I was going through, end quote. Now, Sparkle, who also testified in the 2008 trial, also spoke in the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries, saying any suggestion that I groomed, facilitated, or enabled harm to my niece is untrue and deeply painful, especially given my documented actions at the time and throughout. Now, Kelly, as y'all know, is serving a total of 31 years in prison on racketeering, as trafficking, and child pornography convictions from federal cases in New York and Illinois. Today, Landfair is a mother and a founder of Project Refine, a mentoring effort for girls and women. I'm just trying to put my best foot forward, she said, and use all this pain and turn it into purpose. Now, speaking of Sparkle, Sparkle has actually given her side of the story in this situation as well, because Rashana is going around saying that her aunt basically groomed her and basically was out here whoring her out to R. Kelly, and she's saying that ain't true. I wish I could have made this picture bigger, but well, we'll just leave it like that for now. So she said, any suggestion that I groom, facilitated, or enable harm to my niece is untrue and deeply painful, especially given my documented actions at the time and throughout. When I was informed that her parents were allowing Rashana to spend unchaperoned time with R. Kelly, I immediately contacted DCFS, which we would call DIFUS. When the tape surfaced and the state brought charges against him in 2008, I cooperated fully and testified under oath despite immense pressure not to do so. I did this because protecting my niece from abuse and telling the truth mattered more to me than any money in my career. So yeah, and she said now her career suffered because of that. Now, shout out to the name, what is it? To the Jasmine brand, who had this story, well, the full thing that she said, because I'm gonna read the rest of it. I had to go over to the page and I'm sure y'all can see it. So let me read it. So she said, "This is the beginning of Rashana's lengthy deprogramming journey. It is true that she is a survivor of years of abuse, still learning to process what happened to her and who is responsible. It's also true and well documented that I stood up for her to try to stop the damage being done to her and countless others. I wish her continued healing and peace." As she continues to not only find her voice, but hopefully require accountability from those closest to her. So some of the comments wind up saying, yeah, they said, didn't Sparkle's career go downhill because she stood up and took action for her niece? At least that's what I think I remember. All of the parents who left their kids with R. Kelly need to be in jail. Praying for healing for the niece and the other victims. Another person says Sparkle definitely spoke up and out. I remember. Another person said, I can't wait till she is away from her parents who are trying to still brainwash her. Sparkle stood up for her. She lost everything behind it. Most victims are programmed so badly. This is hard, man. She handled it with so much grace. And wasn't there another one? Because I can't remember their names, but wasn't there some people also that, I mean, the current girl that I believe is still up under R. Kelly, I think he married her or something or another, and she was going against her parents or whatever the case was, and word on the street was her parents also was pushing their child up on this man, because a lot of times with these parents, they leave their kids under the supervision of these celebrities because they want to their kid with whatever talent they got to get them out of whatever poverty type situation they're in. We don't want to be in the ghetto no more. We don't want to be, or if you white, you don't want to be in, you don't want to be poor. You don't want to be in these situations. So you leave your children up under these grown ass people or these people you think you should trust. And then that's when the abuse begins, because unfortunately, I'm not saying all of them, but there's a lot of perverts and a lot of abusers that are swarming around in this industry like sharks in water. So you got to be careful who you expose your kids to. And so, yeah, a lot of people, it looks like they're coming to Sparkle's defense, because one person said, I don't believe Sparkle had any involvement. And a lot of people really believing that it was the parents who were the problem by leaving this girl up under him, while I guess Sparkle was busy at the time worrying about her career and trying to get her career off the ground. So shout out to this young lady, Rashana. You go out there and do what you got to do to go on your healing journey, because you need to heal from all this abuse. And I hope that this book will allow you the first steps in truly healing. And as I say, I know some people are like, well, why she got to put out a book? Yeah, she going to try to pay me for my pain. That's what I say. If you're gonna put me in a situation where I'm gonna have to endure lots of abuse, and yes, I'm gonna make money off the backs of this man because he was out there profiting, diddling with children and getting his little fetishes off. And so if he could profit off of, using these girls as little sex slaves or whatever it was that he was using them for, oh, I'm gonna profit off of the fact that he was doing all kinds of things and let her tell her side of the story. Now, once the book is out, and if there's some things in there that Sparkle feels is inaccurate, then she can get out there and tell her side of the story. I'm sure there's plenty of people that would love to have Sparkle on their show to counter whatever this young lady is saying. And I'm hoping that this girl gets to do a lot of interviews and get her voice out there as well. It's funny, I'm calling a young lady. We were around the same age. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.